What is up, everybody? My name is Alex, and welcome to the Broth, most fun, serious show on the internet. We're here live in the Cauldron, and today we're going to talk about Q again. Should be fun. There's been some things, some happenings, some dasting happenings, and there's a lot going on in politics right now, and I haven't talked about any of that stuff in a while because I've been so focused on this little season stuff. But hey, like, first of all, I can see, I can see right now. There's the YouTube studio, so it's like as it uploads, and then over here I have the app I use to send my screen to YouTube Studio, and then I have the uh, then I have the browser that I'm sharing the screen right in front of me, and so it's just Trump's giant head in front of me in three different places. A little bit much. It's a little bit much. Let's get rid of it. Um, yeah, we have happy belated Liberation Day, everybody. The tariffs are in. I'm very excited about this. It is going to be a little bit of a market correction, and then there is going to be a heck of a. I mean, it's going to be a whole new world financial system, and I'm so excited about it bringing jobs and manufacturing coming back. I'm thinking about getting a job in manufacturing. You know, just get the like. I don't have that many skills in terms of that type of stuff, but like I've never been a machinist or anything. But I feel like if you just show up and like are a smart cookie, there's a lot of money to be made. I do like what I'm doing though, quite a bit. But I also like, I always like doing new stuff. It's kind of a blessing and a curse. Anyway, there's like I said, some interdasting happenings. Let's take a look. This was from Trump yesterday. The operation is over. He posts stuff on Truth, even though he's on X, and he does it when he's talking to us. He's talking to his people. He goes, the operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. Donald Trump, Truth Social, 4/3/25. That's today, 8 in the morning. What is the operation? Heard a couple of thoughts from people that are a little in the know. Not that they have insider information, but that they're aware of the things that I'm aware of, such as that Q is legit. I'm honestly starting this a little bit frustrated because I have this awesome edit, if I want to pat myself on the back for making it, that has like clips of some of the big, just like some of the most important clips you got to see when Trump's talking about, the calm before the storm. We got them all, and I've got awesome music to it, and it looks freaking awesome, and I can't find it. That's what I get for being disorganized. I mean, it should be on my Instagram, but I got booted. It wasn't enough for them to boot me off of Meta, but they deleted my account, so I can't go even look at it. So I'm a little frustrated because it would have been an awesome way to kick off this show, but it is what it is. The operation is over. So what is the operation? So my first thought was they're talking about the entire Q operation. If you are uninitiated, the Q operation is a military operation. It's a hypothetical military operation carried out by Donald Trump and a small amount of other people who actually know what's going on, like 8 to 12 people, to save our government from being on the brink of being crossing the point of no return in terms of infiltration and subversion by a sort of conglomerate of entities that hate America and by patriotic people who love their country. So the thing about human beings is we could be right in the middle of Satan's little season, and deceived and confused, and yet good people fighting evil, doing good. And we have to be careful though, because there's a lot of people who are presented as heroes, and they are the right hand, and the evil is the left hand of the same beast that is just trying to eat us up. I did an intro to Q last time, a couple weeks ago. It was one of my first shows, and so I'm not going to rehash everything here. But the idea is that similar to, well, I would say that. Let's say this. It seems to me that part below the surface of American history, there is an understanding of America was founded by sort of two groups of people. One were wealthy Christian Englishmen, and the other were wealthy Freemasonic Englishmen. And that there's always been this kind of dual, this tension. And since World War II, there's been increasing infiltration by, and sort of just increasing institutional power on behalf of Zionists and left-wing Jews and the state of Israel, and then more recently a lot from China also. And all this stuff is happening, and the idea is that somewhere along the lines of so here's this image underneath this, and it's freaking gross. Here, we can just look at this. What am I talking about? Tension between the Masons and then the Israelis and the Chinese, etc., etc. Right. So, but the whole time you've had like Christian patriots who kind of really do stand for the principles, right? I mean, it's taken a long time for them to erode this country to the point of where we're at now. There's something about that, of how long it's taken them, like how brutal humans have been treated in the last 250 years. And I don't know, I mean, some parts of the country, Christianity is really gone in a lot of ways, but like in America, we're still really Christian, and in a lot of other places we are. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that just gives me something to think about in terms of what happened with the reset and whatnot. If you're uninitiated into what I'm saying, watch my other videos, I guess. But when the basic idea is when JFK got assassinated, there were people in the military who became aware that intelligence people, both within our own government and foreign governments, particularly one, just got a way of assassinating our president, putting in their stooge, and that they really got away with it, and that we would have to do something about it. And they looked through history at other people who tried to do something about similar things. And I think that they looked to, among other groups, the fascists. JFK famously praised Hitler and saw what worked that they did and what didn't work. And what they saw, this is me speculating now, is that they saw that they used force, and they didn't have enough of the people understanding what was going on in the world. Now, part of that is a lot easier now because we have the internet. But so Hitler thought he was going to make peace with England, and then in the meantime, England had been pumping out outrageous propaganda, anti-German propaganda, such that the average idiot in England thought that the German people were like vicious demons and stuff. Um, so I think they understood that and if that hadn't happened, if Hitler's propaganda had won out and like don't get hung up on him. I'm just talking about using him as an example of somebody who tried to stop communism and a global world order from destroying his country. So there's a connection there. If his vision and there's a lot of misinformation about all that stuff, but maybe Franco would be a better example. If Franco's Catholic, patriotic vision had prevailed in other nations that ended up going to war with him, then maybe those people wouldn't have been able to get their populace to try to kill their neighbor Christians. So I think that was part of it, and then the other part was just that we can't do this by going to war with the world. We have to win the war for the people's minds, and we have to do the rest of it covertly. And I believe that is what has been going on. It's been a covert war against the global deep state, however you want to say it. So when he says the operation's over, some of us thought he means the entire Q operation, military operation. I'm going to highlight this again. If you want to know about Q, I don't really recommend going on X because you don't know who on there is trustworthy. There's a lot of shill bot accounts. There's a lot of just BS. There's a lot of people claiming to represent the movement. I mean, I'd recommend this guy, Cag Drogo. But other than that, there's a lot of nonsense. But this is where you find the actual drops. You can just read them in order. There's a lot of them. And you could use AI and tell it to summarize them and stuff like that if you want. And then you could do Q only, because these are like other people responding and stuff like that. And we have this. We are saving Israel for last. Very specific reason, not mentioned a single time. So, working theory is that we're going to get here. Oh, you can't see that. Whoops. Here we are. So, I find myself in the, unpleasant position of trying to defend this administration and try to tell people that he is not going to just do Israel's bidding like every other president, particularly the Republicans. And I sound like, I'm huffing copium most of the time, but I took a lot of time to go through this and saw a lot of it happen in real time. And, I'm trusting the plan. So we have some interesting things happening here. So see, that's the frickin' people are so crude. Liberals are so crude. So the patient is the United States. That much I feel confident about. Prognosis is the patient will be stronger, bigger, better, more resilient. The operation could be the Q operation, but there's another operation that makes more sense, and that's a continuity of government operation. So I went over that a bit in my previous episode on Q. Continuity of government it's an emergency procedure in the case of a emergency. So after the Civil War, the Union almost failed, and there were times when it was a bit touch and go, and they realized they had to have better procedures in place for things to stay working as best they could, and so that the Republic could survive the emergency. Then when nuclear weapons came about, they redid them. This isn't conspiracy stuff. This is fact. They redid them so like they have a protocol. Say, they're holding, all of Congress and the president and vice president and whoever else, God forbid, is all in one place and it gets hit by a nuke. Then they know what to do. And it wouldn't just be a nuke or that. It could be, for example, that foreign actors have gotten involved in overthrowing an election. So we theorize that there's continuity of government plan in place. Um, Perhaps, getting into speculation, perhaps the entire Biden administration was somewhat sort of enclosed in that sort of operation, and that's over. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I got my heater popping on. Let me kick that off. But in any case, when he sent this message today, it definitely was setting off some alarm bells. And this was the second day, the second post that, felt that us that are savvy to this stuff were like, whoa, in 24 hours. So it's pretty exciting. Here's the other one. On April 2nd, 2025, the United States announced the imposition of a 17% tariff on imports from Israel. This decision came one day after Israel eliminated all tariffs on American products. So we're putting in place this tariff policy, and Trump has said like over and over again, tariffs are reciprocal. If you don't put any tariffs on us, we're not going to put any tariffs on you. It's fair, blah, blah, blah. And I agree with that as a policy. And normally what happens is, if like, Israel is this exception to anything in a way that favors them, just over and over again. We're ending all foreign aid tomorrow, besides Israel. We're just used to this. This is going in the other direction. They eliminated all tariffs on us. Crazy that they had tariffs on us when we give them more money than we give anywhere. And then the number is 17. Q, not what I meant to do. Q is the 17th letter, if you didn't know. The move caused surprise and concern among Israeli economic officials who had anticipated that removing their tariffs would prevent such a response from the United States. So here's the news. Let's see. Nothing to see here. Also, the Rothschilds are in panic. Okay, I didn't know. I haven't read this one. But I think just want to make sure I'm covering everything I wanted to. Negative to what? Rothschild-controlled banks. Track them. You will see what I mean. Many are not understanding what is happening today. So before I get into this, I just want to talk about the symbolism real quick. So 17%. If it's not reciprocal, this could have been any number. You had talked about 15%. 17 is conspicuous. It is a Q. Here's a Q. This is JFK's grave site. Here's a Q. Trump fires independent inspector general at 17 federal agencies. All right. So, what else? I think I already played the video last time of just Trump just saying, coming up with the number 17 all the time. He's been to Washington D.C. 17 times before he became president. So okay, let's check this out. Trump's tariffs will be, quote, negative the world over, European Central Bank head says. President Donald Trump's planned tariffs will be a negative across the world, with the damage depending on how far they go, how long they last, and whether they lead to successful negotiations, European Central Bank head Christine Lagarde said on Wednesday. It will be negative the world over, and the density and durability of the impact will vary depending on the scope, blah, blah, blah. So, this guy's saying he became a puppet of Israel. It's a weird way to... weird response to this. So yeah, pretty interesting. I gotta get into a flow here. Israel just got hit with a big 17. Saving Israel for last. 17 is obviously a big clue that the military is in control. That magic number 17 again. So yeah, Nick Fuentes did a good monologue on the tariffs and why everybody with a lot of money is upset. It's because everyone with a lot of money makes a lot of money based on the idea of global free trade, and this is different. This is nationalistic. So, they can end up winning big over time, but they're going to have to rejigger. But what this helps is like all of the workers in the United States. And this could be good for a lot of other countries too, because they will just adjust to this new status quo and figure out their own set of tariffs in a way that is good for their workers. So, good things. I think I went through that before.
2004 following. In a shocking revelation, Rothschild & Co., the prestigious banking institution, has confirmed that the late financier Sir Evelyn de Rothschild left the firm in 2004 following an investigation into a sexual misconduct complaint. This disclosure has sent ripples through the financial community, raising serious questions about the conduct of one of Britain's most prominent banking figures. Sir Evelyn, who served as a financial advisor to Queen Elizabeth II and was a key player in British banking for decades, has been accused of exploiting his position to harass and assault several women during his tenure at NM Rothschild in the 1990s. The internal memo circulated among staff revealed that the complaint, which surfaced in late 2003, was disclosure has sent ripples through the financial community. Britain's most prominent banking figures. Sir Evelyn, who served as a financial advisor to Queen Elizabeth II and was a key player in British banking for decades, has been accused of exploiting his position to harass and assault several women during his tenure at NM Rothschild in the 1990s. The internal memo circulated among staff revealed that the complaint, which surfaced in late 2003, was taken seriously and led to an immediate investigation. While the bank stated that it found no evidence to support the allegations from that period, the fact that a single complaint prompted the departure of such a high-profile figure has raised eyebrows. The Guardian reported that multiple women have come forward with allegations against Sir Evelyn, detailing instances of serious sexual assault and harassment. These women reportedly felt unable to voice their concerns at the time due to the power dynamics at play, fearing repercussions in their careers. The memo emphasized the bank's commitment to fostering a safe and professional environment, stating, "We do not tolerate and will never tolerate behavior of this nature at the company." Sir Evelyn de Rothschild was a member of one of the most famous banking dynasties and had a storied career, including a 28-year tenure as chairman of...
It's one of those things where they bring about something like it's not organic, like something like the Me Too thing, in order to just have a way to destroy people that they don't like, and then it can be used against them too. I don't really want to read that long thing that I did. First 4 years, Trump caught them but didn't tell them. Appear dumb. Biden's 4 years, we knew they would continue the cash flow funnel, their modus operandi. We documented everything. Quote, "This is not about politics. Something far more sinister has been allowed to flourish through all parts of society." True. A. The premise of Q is that the deep state owns our politicians via blackmail. Tucker is now talking openly about how true that is. It's not even controversial at this point. B. The inference is that patriots in the military and the intelligence got a hold got a hold of the blackmail material, shifting the balance of power, and they are now using it against those very players. C. Q concludes that they already did it and are letting the bad guys squirm so we can all watch them panic and show their true selves. That way the public will understand why it had to be done. 4. 3 questions. If A is true, which is controlled by blackmail, wouldn't B be the best option at, say changing the situation? 2. With McAfee, the NSA, and the Epstein bust, aren't the means well established? 3. If we were in an op to red pill the masses over the last 4 years, what would be different? I think people really don't like to consider this because we want credit, us little accounts and our red pill accounts and stuff. The idea that there's something top down going on. I think we do deserve a lot of credit, but we've been allowed on X, to do this stuff. So pretty exciting. All right, well, not one of my better monologues, I'll be honest. I really wanted to show you guys 2 posts, and that would have taken 5 minutes, and I dragged it out a little bit. Let's just check this out. This is from today.
Nice to see you. Hello. I haven't seen you in a while. $5 billion. For $5 million, this could be yours. That was the first of the cards. You know what that card is?
Gold card.
It's the gold card. The Trump card, gold card.
Who's the first buyer?
Me. I'm
Who's
the
the
first.
second?
I don't know, but I'm the first buyer. It'll be out in about less than 2 weeks, probably. Pretty exciting, right?
Ready for some questions?
Anybody want to buy one?
The patience I've seen
Okay,
him
let's go.
exhibit with some of these reporters.
First, we'd love to get your reaction
tried
to what's
ruin
going on
his
in
life.
the financial markets today.
Well, I mean, it's to be expected. This is a patient that was very sick. We really inherited a terrible economy, as you know, with a lot of problems, including loss of manufacturing and plants closed up all over the country. We've lost 90,000 plants since NAFTA, if you think of that. 90,000. It's not even believable. And about 6 million jobs. And so it was a sick patient that went through an operation on Liberation Day. And it's going to be...
Okay, so he's referencing that post he made.
It's going to be a booming country, a very booming country. It's going to be amazing, actually. And we see it because we have trillions of dollars committed to come in. Trillions.
Sir, can I ask you, when you say that it was an operation and the patient's healthy now, does that mean you see us as kind of towards the high water mark in terms of how high?
Sure. The operation's over, and now we let it settle in. You see the plants are starting to construction already. We have many plants. Indiana, massive auto plant, the Honda, and we have so many plants, and they'll be under construction. And as they start to build, you can see a lot of construction jobs, and you can see a lot of jobs when they open.
Does that mean chips and pharma tariffs are not on the
They're
table?
starting very soon. The chips are starting very soon. The pharma is going to be starting to come in, I think, at a level that you haven't really seen before. We are looking at pharma right now, pharmaceuticals, as a separate category, and we'll be announcing that sometime in the near future, not too distant future. That's under review right now.
Are you negotiating with partners currently?
What we have is we have a set of tariffs based on what they've been charging us. That's reciprocal. And those tariffs have come in, and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said, no, now they'll do anything for us. But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
Are you open to deals with these countries if they're calling you?
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff? The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation. And it's very exciting to see. And what it's done is driven a lot of great companies to our country, and you're going to see construction starting all over. I already got a couple of calls from Lee Zeldin from from environmental. He's got some big plans to approve, like really big plans.
How long will it take to get American manufacturing, to where you would like to see it?
Well, let's say it's a 2-year process. You know, they start a plant and they're big plants. We're giving them approval to also, in many cases, to build the electric facility with it. So you have electric generation and the plant, and they're big plants. Now, the good news is a lot of money for them, and they can build them fast, but they're still very big plants. So I'd always say it would take a year and a half to 2 years.
Mr. President, I'm curious.
About the
They've already
NSA?
started some
Mr.
of them.
President, have you been following the New York City mayor's race? And specifically, Andrew Cuomo is now the front runner, according to the polls. How do you feel about that? Do you think you could have a good relationship with a mayor, Andrew Cuomo?
Well, I've always gotten along with him. We had our ins and outs a little bit. We did a great job for him. Remember, we built the convention center rooms for him. He didn't use them, unfortunately. And we sent the Mercy ship. We sent the really magnificent hospital ship, and they didn't use it. But we always had a pretty good relationship.
You can make an endorsement in that race?
Well, it's not something I'm thinking about yet. Is he thinking about running yet?
Russia, Ukraine. There's a Russian envoy in town for some meetings. Can you give us an update on how that's going?
We do. We have an envoy from Russia. We're talking about it. We'd like to see that stop as soon as possible, because thousands of people are being killed a week. Soldiers, mostly soldiers, and Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And you're losing 2,000, 3,000 sometimes a week. So we're spearheading the drive to get it done. Europe has not been successful in dealing with President Putin, but I think I will be successful.
So can I ask you about the NSC? How many staffers were let go and why? Your National Security Council. How many staffers were
There were some. Always we're going to let go of people that we don't like, or people that we don't think can do the job, or people that may have loyalties to somebody else. You'll always have that.
So you mentioned Netanyahu recently. Israel has now talked about staying in Gaza, doing long-term occupation. Has anything changed in regard to the U.S. Gaza-Israel plans?
I spoke to him today, as a matter of fact. And I think he's going to be coming to our country sometime in the not too distant future, maybe next week. And we'll speak about Israel, and we'll speak about what's going on. That's another thing we'd like to get solved. And I think we will get it solved. But
Sir,
I think he very well may be coming next month. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Sir, can I follow up?
So let's pause there for that. Buddy David reminded me about this. So this is from Kag Drogo on X. List of actions taken, not platitudes and appearances, for ZOG. It stands for Zionist Occupied Government, and against. And what we have for is he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, pardoned Pollard, who's like a spy, recognized the Golan Heights, which is sort of a symbolic gesture, and that potential actions, this is a little bit older, but punishing quote unquote anti-Semitism on campus, that was done, so we can keep that in there. Here are things that Zog would not like: arresting Epstein, arresting Maxwell, arresting Weinstein, arresting the Nexium people. A lot of people don't know about that one. That was another human trafficking. This was like a cult. Bad stuff. Bronfman, I'm not familiar with. Nygaard, I forget who that is. Pulled troops from Syria. That was a big one. CIA had a whole regime change. Was operation going in Syria. Unfortunately, under Biden, they resumed that. But Israel wanted that the entire time. Cut CIA funding for Israel's war in Syria. Didn't start any new wars. Destroyed Israel's fake proxy ISIS. There's a lot of evidence that Israel created ISIS. And you'd think they would be happy that we destroyed ISIS, but that was their operation. Exposed J-owned fake news media. Opposes open borders, opposes one world government, opposes central bank digital currency, friendly with BRICS nations, opposed mandates, stopped FEMA camps, opposed climate change tyranny, potential actions, eliminate income tax and the Fed, stop fluoride in water, end wars, etc. So still today, unless you count like rhetoric and symbolic things, definitely leaning not in favor of those guys.
Up on your earlier comment about TikTok, you said that the Chinese might be willing to agree to approve that sale in exchange for tariff relief. Is that something that you floated to them, or you've heard from them, or?
No, I'm just using that as an example. Let's say we had a problem with TikTok, and let's say China wasn't going to approve, and we could use tariffs in order to get it approved. You give them something in return.
What's the update on the deal negotiations for
We have,
TikTok?
we're very close to a deal with a very good group of people for TikTok.
Very often, or is it multiple investors? Just
Multiple.
And then do the last minute bids kind of throw things into disarray for you, or do you have your strategy completely locked up on who's going
Which
to
last minute?
on acquiring TikTok?
No, I think that China maybe will call and say, well, we're upset with the tariffs, and maybe they want to get something a little bit in order to get TikTok approved. Who knows? I have no knowledge of that, but that's the kind of thing as well.
Can you give us any update on the Palestinian relocation plan? Are we talking to any countries?
We're going to try and solve the Gaza problem. It's been a problem for many years, for many, many decades. It's been a big problem. I met with, as you know, a lot of the hostages. It's a terrible situation. But if you notice, hostages are being released now.
Oh, so David says Bronfman was the executive of Seagram's, and daughter was running Nexium. This is Claire Webb Bronfman, an American heiress, convicted felon, and former leader of Nexium, a multi-level marketing company and cult based in Albany, New York. Youngest daughter of billionaire philanthropist and former Seagram liquor chairman Edgar Bronfman Sr. after a brief equestrian career.
And that's happened over since I got involved. So, we have hostages being released, quite a few, actually.
You're still committed to the relocation?
I'd like to get as many hostages as we can. And then Gaza is a very important thing. It's been under siege.
The Bronfman's Fellowship. How do we bridge divides between young American and Israeli Jewish leaders? Nonprofit educational program for young Jews in Israel and North America. Wild that these families have connections to this dark stuff all the time.
Many, many years. It's a shame. It's a shame. A lot of people die in Gaza. Gaza's been a place we have a lot of people die. A lot of bad things happen in Gaza. We'll see what we can do about it.
Dinner tonight. Can you tell us about it? Who's going to be there?
No, and the whole family's Jewish.
So dinner tonight is I have a couple of them actually, but a lot of it's based around charity. It's at Doral, and we raise a lot of money for charities. We're going to also having one of the big professional golf tournament they live, and that'll take place over the next few days at Doral from I guess tomorrow till I think they have a pro-am right now, but I'll be speaking tonight. I think I'm making a speech to the players, great players, some of the best players in the world, and ultimately, hopefully, the two tours are going to merge. That would be good. I'm involved in that too, but hopefully, we're going to get the two tours to merge. You have the PGA Tour, you have the LIV Tour, and I think having them merge would be a great thing.
Mr. President, about the tariffs, do you have any message for the American businesses that might feel the impact of any reciprocal tariffs coming from the EU, for example, or from other countries?
It's going to all work out. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your plant or you build your product, make your product in the U.S. And so a lot of people, there's going to be a transition period because they're going to be building instead of paying tariffs to some other place. But there are no tariffs. If you think there are no tariffs, all you have to do is make your product in the United States. So and a lot of people are doing that. They're moving, like the auto companies. I know I spoke to 2 of the 4 or 5 that are really active. And they've already started moving their parts making things out of Mexico, out of Canada, and into the United States.
So do you have a sense of how long Elon Musk's mission will last and when he will depart?
Well, Elon is fantastic, and I think he's a patriot, and I think it's a shame what they're doing with his car company, and a great car. It's a great car, great product, and it tells you what a patriot he is. He's amazing. No, as long as I like smart people, and he's a smart person. I also like him personally. When he endorsed me, that's when I really got to know him. I knew him a little bit before that, but not much, and then he endorsed me, and it was a very strong.
Yes, I don't know if anything else really interesting is going to happen there, but found something else that we could look at that looks fun. Ian Carroll and Candace Owens did a collab. He was on Candace's show. Let's take a look at some clips there.
Know what kind of leverages people get over politicians, and eventually you wind up with Rabbi Shmuley hanging out with you and declaring anti-Semitism the greatest health crisis in America
It's
today
absurd.
or whatever it is.
Absurd. And this kind of really gets right to the crux of everything that's happening, which is you're seeing actually the left and the right unite on this one topic of recognizing that it's really wrong what's happening in Palestine. And this is such, to me, just a humanitarian issue, humanitarian approach. And they're trying to win this issue with smears. And it's crazy. And you're a perfect example of that. So you've really had, I would say, your come up. I love their narrative that he came out of nowhere. He must be funded. No, actually, he's been on TikTok for quite some time going through grocery aisles. If I know that some older people were not on TikTok, and I'm kind of generation Instagram is where it stopped. But when I finally got on TikTok, and you're a big deal on TikTok.
Blew up on
TikTok, just going through the grocery aisle talking about who owns what. And then when the Israel-Palestine thing happened, you were very clear about your position on this.
They're going to have a really
and obviously,
hard...
when
But the whole
Elon
point of
Musk
gender
and you
diversity is
got
that
into
you
that back
show up-
forth, things hit another level because you were so sensible about speaking about why it is that Americans would not feel allegiance to Israel, which is our right. It is so weird that they think that they're going to try to psychologically convince us that we have no right to not support a foreign nation by calling everybody anti-Semitic.
And then
so to
passing
watch them
censorship
do,
laws.
and then we're just going to pass censorship laws. 350 million of you are just not going to be able to say anything bad about Israel.
All you people that think that Jews control the world, you know what we'll do? We'll all pass laws that say you can't say that. That'll teach them. Like, clearly these people have never taught young kids. When you teach young kids, you learn that you can't tell young kids, like, you can't do that double think with young people these days. They see right through it. And it only enhances their conviction and actually creates more real anti-Semitism, as well as just, basic noticing of facts.
There is that noticing of facts that's happening. I think this book here has done more damage than anything that you or I could ever say. And I actually wanted to bring up this book, Chaos, because they are totally chaos. But just to be clear for you guys that are watching us at home, it was a CIA operation. And they're doing it right now. So if you're wondering why all of these random accounts are suddenly saying that I'm funded by Qatar, I absolutely am not funded by Qatar. I'd like to be, by the way, Qatar, if you're watching, like, I'm not opposed to reading some ads for you. Like, it's totally fine because everybody else works with you, including Bibi Netanyahu, who's going through a Qatar trial right now, which is the rich irony of all of this. You're not funded by Qatar.
No, I'm not funded by anyone. I'm poor.
So this is amazing. So I was reading this because I do a book club here. The chaos was born out of LBJ's, the chaos CIA program was born out of LBJ. So JFK gets shot. LBJ becomes president of the United States and just reverses course on everything that JFK was doing in terms of his foreign policy with Israel. And he's getting them weapons, he's getting them money, and he wants war. So we're right back in that circumstance where it's like war. We're talking about war with Iran. And then there were these natural student protests that were happening because people were against the Vietnam War. And LBJ didn't believe that these could be organic protests. He believed that if they needed to seed the public with this idea that these protests were actually a foreign infiltration. And so they began this Operation Chaos to discredit people by pretending that they were foreign operators. And that's exactly what they're doing to me, you, and Tucker right now. And it's just amazing. And I'm like, guys, this is like, you don't just randomly just say Candace is funded by Qatar, Ian's funded by Qatar. They're all saying the same talking point, but while ignoring Bibi Netanyahu's trial for funding Qatar to give money to Hamas, which is incredible.
So damning in so many ways. And it's not to mention that, so Chaos is the one where they're like surveilling and targeting and smearing and libeling these protesters, but that's overlapped over COINTELPRO, which was instated by J. Edgar Hoover, more so, although COINTELPRO tactics are universal. But that's actually causing dissidents to fight each other, causing, like, spreading rumors about Black Panthers sleeping with each other's wives, spreading, salacious details that may or may not be true about Martin Luther King or other things. And to be clear, a lot of the rumors about Martin Luther King were probably somewhat true, but just sowing division amongst the ranks and getting people to fight each other. And that was all enacted by J. Edgar Hoover, who was being blackmailed by the Jewish mob for his sexual perversions at the time. And so it's such a funny and tragic rewrite of, like, the exact same history as Ryan.
Just to share what I'm seeing about Qatar and Netanyahu. Top Netanyahu aides arrested as investigation into payments from Qatar escalates. Netanyahu himself was abruptly summoned from his ongoing corruption trial to provide testimony in a separate case Monday afternoon as two of his aides were arrested among mounting allegations of financial ties between Netanyahu's office and Qatar, a country with which Israel has no formal ties, which maintains relations with Hamas.
I'm all over again in so many ways.
The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun, and I feel like we are right back in the 60s.
is subversive in every way, not just politically and blackmail, but also just culturally and dividing families and dividing what makes the soul of America.
And they've intentionally introduced it everywhere. And there is I'm sorry, but a direct corollary from when they took the Bible out of the classroom. That was all very intentional. Understand, you should go back and learn in history who pushed for that to happen. You have the 60s generation. The reason the CIA was doing this was because they wanted to crush Christian culture. I mean, explicitly, there's a guy, what is his name? I think it's Al Goldstein. You gotta pull up this Wikipedia, Skylar. If you could pull up Al Goldstein on Wikipedia, explicitly said, like, we created pornography because we hate Christ. This is the literal quote. It's so crazy to read this. Here it is. It's, quote, "The only reason that Jews are in pornography is that we think that Christ sucks. Catholicism sucks. We don't believe in authoritarianism. Pornography thus becomes..."
Singling out Catholicism again, I see. It doesn't seem to be creating pornography because he's really mad at the
a
Presbyterians.
way of defiling Christian culture. And as it penetrates to the very heart of the American mainstream and is no doubt consumed by those very same wasps, its subversive character becomes more charged, end quote. I mean, that is just unbelievable. Like, whoa.
100%.
Like, it's like, take it to the bank. We created pornography because we hate Christ. And it's on Wikipedia. This is not like a conspiracy theory. And so this guy says this, and you go to yourself, okay, everything that is happening is antichrist, right? So we know that as Catholics, you're not supposed...
That right there is why Candace is so based on, and it has good takes all the time, or most of the time. She understands this is a war on Christianity. This is a spiritual war on Christ.
Keep your families together. You're supposed to save your virginity. We don't believe in birth control. Everything that's happening now is counter to Christ culture. It's literally anti-Christ. Okay.
He did say he was discerning his relationship to Christianity, which was
what kind of leverages people get.
People are all mad at these guys because they're talking about RFK being potentially blackmailed, and it's like, well, if RFK is friends with Rabbi Shmuley and has no problem with the genocide in Gaza and thinks that our kids should be getting jabs for the thing, I think I can say it now, but on his own, that's like more concerning than if he has blackmail on him. I guess it depends on the nature of the blackmail, but definitely going to watch this whole episode. That was funny. Don't have any other clips. I also want to see if there's any clips from Tucker, his last interview. I forget who the guy was, but he's like a Christian nationalist guy, and I gotta watch that too. This guy, Tucker Eisker. That's the whole thing. Had the time of his life. That's good. Here we go.
We made it in. What if we took this like digital community that exists, and what if we?
And it's important. Something I see. Everybody likes. We're all like everyone else is a normie and blah blah blah. Everybody has a little different windows to the truth and chunks of the truth, and some people have big old chunks and some people have smaller chunks, but I find it can be really benefit. Like I spent like 2 months where I was listening to Scott Adams' podcast like almost every day. He doesn't know anything about like Christianity. He's an atheist. Doesn't supportive of Israel, all types of stuff. He's got a huge blind spot too. I think spiritually he's pretty poor, but he's got some really interesting perspectives on some other things, and his show is entertaining. I think, we got to be reaching across these divides. That's part of what I'm about here is like, let me try to pull some, I don't know if it'll be helpful in building an audience because like I'm such a weirdo. You know, I'm like, yeah, Satan's Little Season, but Catholic and also right wing. You know, and it's like, hey, yeah, right wing, but also half Jewish and it's Satan's Little Season. But you know, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna be myself.
We made it in. What if we took this like digital community that exists, and what if we made it in real life, right? What would that be like? What if we all did that together and multiplied, you know, our respective bandwidths? Right? That's a major part of it. Yeah, and so that's the exciting thing is, whoa, we come to a place like this. We bring our friends that have, you know, some of them have remote jobs and good incomes. People will spend money locally and businesses will spring up because of that. People will bring businesses and need employees, and the people in the area will flourish in a way that they haven't for quite a while.
That's the pioneer spirit. For people who are interested, what's the name of this again?
Ridge Runner. So the Highland Rim Project.
Highland Rim Project.
Babies being murdered. Right. You would just say, what if it's a pregnant woman and her baby's being murdered? Right. You would just say, well, no, you need to have a medical license for that to kill that person. Right. And like
what did Christopher say?
He's like, oh, you're being flippant. You wouldn't go down that road.
What's so sad is I knew Christopher very well and always liked him enormously for his erudition, his ability to recite long passages of poetry, you know, Philip Larkin and Orwell, and you know, he was just he's a reader, like a dedicated lifelong reader, and a wonderful dinner and lunch companion. I had many highly drunken dinners with him before I quit drinking, and but he was and so I love Christopher, but he was a moralizer. Whoa.
Yeah.
And I was much younger, 25 years younger than I am now, and I never sort of put it together in my mind, like, how can an atheist be a moralizer?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make any sense, actually.
What if it's a pregnant woman and her baby's being murdered? Right.
Word. Well, I'm just gonna see what else is going on for a few minutes and get out of here. People are gonna make a big deal of the market crash. It's a reset, and it's a reset. We needed one, and it's a good one rather than a bad one. Here's Chuck Streamer being like MAGA in 1996.
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law, but let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit.
So he understands this
and
stuff,
we find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I
can't stand to listen to this guy. keep doing this stuff, man. They just turn up the contrast to make them look more orange. It's like when they made they made Joe Rogan look green, so he looked sick when he wasn't taking the jab and was doing other stuff. These people, man. Video of the moment, field card bomb exploded. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse. Car manufacturers coming back home. General Motors. Trying to give immunity to pesticide makers. Can you think of a worse idea? These people, man. One guy got 20 years recently. Like, how stupid can you be? Literally the worst car you could attack. They've got HD cameras all over them. Alright. In some ways, this stuff can be a distraction from, like, spiritual matters, but also we live in the world still. Russia isn't on, and people are going to make a big deal about this. We're in the middle of a negotiation to stop a world war with Russia. Can you think of a reason that might make sense? Also, okay. All right, sir. I'll give you this one, Mr. White. We don't import anything from Russia. They have sanctions on them. Wait. 3.5 billion worth of goods. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say, we're in the middle of World War III ending negotiations. Some people are just gonna hate no matter what. Yeah, this sucks. This app sucks. All right. I was kind of hoping I was gonna get in the groove at some point today. Didn't really happen. What are you gonna do? Can't all be great. I don't know. My homie David's hanging out though, so like if just for you, man, I kind of want to keep going. I can't play that whole thing though. Oh, you know what is good? Well, it's gonna be too crazy. I don't know. Let's see. What if I just do here?
His legacy, however, is now complicated by these allegations. The banking world is closely watching how Rothschild & Co. will navigate this fallout and what it means for the institution's reputation moving forward.
Yeah, we can just look at this guy's, kind of bring it back to Q. So this guy, I don't know much about him, but I know that he has basically all the correct takes when it comes to Q. And I know he's a painter, and he painted this and paints other stuff like that. He's a big MAGA guy. Okay, yeah, he's going to have some fun stuff. Let's do this for a little while.
Associated with the city of New York. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you say to those family members who protested earlier this week and will be doing so again on Friday?
Well, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have, as to the maniacs that did that horrible thing to our city, to our country, to the world. So nobody's really been there.
Hold up, because the mainstream idea is that we did get to the bottom of it, because their passports flew out of the exploding planes and landed on the ground, and the FBI collected them within 4 hours or 5 hours of the incident. I thought we had got to the bottom of it according to the official narrative, Who are the maniacs that he's referring
associated
to?
with the city of New York. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you?
Was it these people? Oh, it's a never mind. Never mind. AI clears that up. It's a conspiracy theory. Is it? Let's see what the Jewish Chronicle has to say. Now we're getting into the groove. Oh, well, here they are. 5 young Israeli men were arrested and sparked controversy, conspiracy theories for decades. Crazy conspiracy theories. Blah, blah, blah. So this lady was looking out her window and during the 9/11 attacks noticed that there were people in a white van watching the towers and cheering and dancing and celebrating. And they were there in anticipation of something, looking at the towers. I mean, this is such a rabbit hole. There's so much stuff. The FBI seized a number of Jews while they were dancing in celebration over the incidents. Yeah, a lot of people were arrested, and then they were let go, and they were flown to Israel when all the other flights, like, in the whole country were grounded. But yeah, it's just a... Oh, here's footage.
But I feel so alive. There's a war going on outside. No birds around here, just bullets that fly. There's a war going on outside. There's death everywhere, but I feel so alive. I feel so alive. Dear.
See now, give me a break. Dancing Israelis and police reports. Let's do this, because that's hard to read, and a lot. This is a thing that you could do. Summarize this. Documented the provided link as part of an FBI report concerning the arrest and investigation of 5 Israeli men detained on September 11th, 2001 in New Jersey. These individuals, often referred to as the Dancing Israelis, and in various narratives, were observed near the Hudson River, reportedly behaving in a manner that suggested they were celebrating or documenting the attacks on the World Trade Center. The report is from Section 1 of a larger collection of police and FBI documents. Well, I thought it was a conspiracy theory. What the heck is this? What AI is this? I guess it's Microsoft's. Oh, ADL will clear it up for us. Anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, which claims that 5 Israelis directed the... Nobody claimed that those guys directed it. But the FBI is arresting them. Key points. Spotted. Witness saw them. They were apprehended. Initial searches of the van by police and bomb-sniffing dogs indicated the possible presence of explosive residue. Though subsequent laboratory tests were not detailed in this section, the FBI took over the investigation. Due to the potential connection to the terrorist attacks, the men were interviewed. Their statements included explanations that they were simply documenting the event. How did you know that it was going to happen? With one noting he wanted to record it as a historical moment. I didn't know it was going to happen. The report includes details of their immigration status, noting that some were in the U.S. on expired visas or without proper work authorization. No definitive evidence linked them directly to the attacks were presented in this section, though their behavior and timing raised suspicions. Yeah. All right, back to, let's see what else he's got. He talks a lot about this. So he says he was looking at the FEMA camps for many years and understood, now this is his opinion, I'm not sure, but understood that they were going to when the virus, so-called, rolled out, that they were planning on putting everybody that didn't, agree to get jabbed in these camps, and that Trump made that not a possibility for them. It's an hour-long documentary if you want to check it out. Remember this crap? Is this not the most weird and ominous time period ever? I like this guy's channel too. Something a lot of people don't seem to understand is just how deep this election stuff goes, not just for federal elections, but also local, state, and county. I mean, doesn't it feel like the people's will of people just never win? When it comes to new U.S. Congress, given what Elon Musk and the Doge team are finding at the Social Security Administration with these millions of fake Social Security numbers, that's an interesting point. And the exceedingly nasty NGO. So they're just... It is something I've noticed is people are very efficient. If they run a scam, they'll scam you 15 different ways in the same thing. If they lie about something, that lie is they're going to cover themselves in that lie in 15 different, or let's say 17 different ways. And the exceedingly nasty NGO habit of dumping thousands of fake voter registration forms on county registrars' offices prior to our elections, we have to consider the possibility that up to half of our U.S. Congress were beneficiaries of election shenanigans in, quote, winning the races. How much legislation do we really want to see a U.S. Congress pass if up to half of its members are only there due to highly organized and coordinated voter registration shenanigans? It may turn out that to be a net plus that this current Congress hasn't passed anything, as Elon and the Doge team continue to expose voter schemes that have fatally infected our election system and many of our U.S. counties. Yeah. How do these 150-year-old people get elected all the time? Doesn't make any sense. Move slowly, carefully, and then strike like the fastest animal on the planet. From 2013. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. That's like what I was talking about before. Looking through history, what didn't work. Here's what we started with. Never forget that Trump knows. Let's check this out.
Are ignorant beyond imaginable the war in Syria. And you may actually hear from grown-up reporters.
Okay, so this is a screen capture of Trump on social, or Truth Social, posting a video of Jeffrey Sachs, who is one of the not very many Jewish intellectuals who is willing to be very critical openly of Israel.
Reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schulsky, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus
Schulsky,
groups
is that
on the
Swedish?
war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually. You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you, because he's gotten us into endless wars, and because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics, he's gotten his way. But that war was totally phony. So what is this democracy versus dictatorship? Come on, these are not even sensible terms. The war in Syria.
Okay, so that's Trump sharing that. Trump figured out that if he has his own social network, he can put stuff on there, and if what he's sharing is not good for the the status quo narrative, they won't report on it. So he can speak directly to his people in a sort of his own area. And if they do report on something he says, then it's just free publicity for him. Really a smart move. It took me a while to figure out what the point of this was. I was just like, this is just like a failing social network. What's the point? You know, there's like no engagement on there. Probably is losing money, but it's like a great way for him to just blast information that he wants his people to understand, with like a little bit of a wall in between it and the rest of everybody. Plus, it was also a reaction of him getting kicked off of social media while he was president, which is freaking insane that happened. That's what we started with. Liberation Day, whoop whoop. Breaking, FBI imposed gag order about Hunter Biden laptop after employee accidentally confirmed its authenticity to Twitter. New release, this is long. New released internal FBI chat message reveal senior bureau officials actively shutting down discussion of laptop's credibility. Interesting. Let's just get Grok to summarize. Now I know what I'm going to do. Anytime I want to do a Q-related show is I'm just going to go through Cag Drogo's feed. Elvis M. Chan, FBI agent, was involved in these discussions, highlighting the FBI's awareness of the laptop's criminal implication, including felony tax charges, yet chose to suppress further commentary. This disclosure, part of a joint investigation by Catherine Herridge and Michael Schellenberger, reignites the debate over the FBI's role in the 2020 election. Yeah, treason. Russia, China, Iran doing joint military exercises. He's suggesting something else is going on. Not a big fan of cryptic posts like that. Like, do you have something you want to share with the rest of the class? Elon saying "and the Fed" was pretty cool. Then he had to be kind of gay about it and be like, "I always wanted to say that."
And the Fed.
He's such a dork, man. I mean, I know I'm pretty dorky, but this was epic. You guys will appreciate this. If the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. Elon says, I think about this often. I agree with this. I think Trump had 4 years to not be president, to think about what deals were going to be made, and to talk to people. RFK is cutting the Vaccine Promotion Office. U.S. cut funding for Bill Gates' vaccine program. Gavi, FDA's top vaccine official, resigned after RFK's ultimatum required vaccines to undergo rigorous safety testing. FEMA is being abolished. Take the wins. Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's like, this is why we have to be political. Is like, this is, they all really got involved in our business since 5 years ago, and they want to do it again. They want to do it all the time. They want to never not be involved in your life in ways that are detrimental to your life. I'm not totally opposed to government involvement in, we need the government. I'm not a libertarian. I think that's whole philosophy is idiotic. That's why I'm like a Christian nationalist. All right, I think I'm about ready to get out of here. Do we have any questions? Anything you guys would like to share with about 50 people or so that'll probably watch this? Remember when they banned going to the beach and stuff? I was in Guatemala and Mexico during that time. In Mexico, they went to a national park or something. There was like parts of it you couldn't go in. They had some idiot standing there in a uniform preventing you from going down this trail. Like, how much money did that cost? And for what? We went to these amazing ruins, though, and they did let us do that. It was actually a great time to go to these ruins because there was like 50 people there. On a normal day, there would be a ton of people.
However, these relationships are not built in stone. They're not dictated by law. Things like the Five Eyes are based on trust, built on decades. But so often that trust is now breaking literally overnight. Yet suddenly, and for no reason that I can understand, the United States is starting to act like our adversaries are our friends. Voting in the UN with Russia, Belarus, and North Korea. That's a rogues gallery if I've ever heard of them.
Correct.
Treating our allies like adversaries, whether it's threats to take over Greenland or over the Panama.
Hey, Elon, can you and Doge audit the senator's finances? The things we learned. Come on, Mark Warner, give us a break on your constant grandstanding. Be honest with yourself. If that's possible, the best thing to do is step down for the United States Senate. Walk away while you still can. Boom. All right, I'm getting out of here. Have a great evening, guys. God bless you. See you. I might, what is it, Thursday? Yeah, I might not do Friday and Saturday. I'm going to figure it out, but, come see if I'm here, if you want. And I will definitely be back 4:30 on